Hello guys and welcome. I am the Philadelphia Whovian and this video is going to be a bit different than my previous videos. This video is actually going to be my explanation and my defense of why, against popular opinion, I really like the live action Beauty and the Beast. I know that's scandalous when it comes to the internet. It really is, but the fact is, I really do like it. And I admit, I know it's not as good as the 1991 version, but this video is going to be an explanation and a defense about why I believe that the 2017 Beauty and the Beast live action was not a terrible film. Before I begin, I'm making it very clear to all of you guys. Guys, if you do not like the 2017 Beauty and the Beast live action, I respect your opinions. I am not judging you, nor am I attacking you. I simply have a different opinion, and we all have the right to have a different opinion. We really do. So peace and love. Just no anger, no getting mad here. We're all the same. We just disagree with each other. So now when it comes to what? I actually like the 2017 Beauty and the Beast. I'm going to attack the criticism and I'm going to give my reply back to the criticism. The first bit of criticism that I get to the 2017 Beauty and the Beast is, well, it's a remake. Oh my god, it's a remake. And you know what? We're sick of this. This is absolutely atrocious. It's terrible and it's not nearly as good as the 1991 version. They should have just left it alone. Guys, I respect your feelings. But, and I'm not offending the 1991 Beauty and the Beast, the animated version. I'm just giving a fact. Guys, the 1991 Disney animated Beauty and the Beast was a remake of a remake that was based on a fairy tale from 1757 that was written to be in France as an anthology to a whole set of fairy tales. Yes, it really was. And so when you all attack the 2017 Disney live action version, I gotta tell you, I'm gonna give you the whole timeline of all of the Beauty and the Beast that have come out. So we've got 1757. Sorry if I got the year wrong, but it's definitely 1700s. It was written in France by a French writer. Boom, 1757. The first Beauty and the Beast, unless somehow all the research I've done is completely wrong about this, was in 1946. It was made by a French filmmaker in France, and it heavily followed it was really heavily inspired by the actual book, fairy tale version that was written in 1757, which was about how, Belle's father, he was arrested for stealing a rose and the Beast imprisoned him, but Belle took his place, and that was, the arrangement that was made with the Beast, and the Beast fell madly in love with her and proposed to her often, but she refused him very often. But over time, he grew on her, and she did fall in love with him, and he did, as a test, allow her to go back to her father, but saying to him, "If you do not come back in a week, I will die of heartache and grief." That's the overall story of, the 1757 version, telling of it or story of it, the first version, and then the 1946 was heavily inspired by that. So 1946, I believe that's the first time we get a film version of Beauty and the Beast. Then it was done again in 1987 as a television series on CBS. Now this one, to me, I give a lot of credit, not just because it's good, it is good, it actually has a cult following, but because it was the most creative from the actual fairy tale. This was set in a modern world where there's like a subterranean fantasy world on top of our modern world, underneath our modern world. And with this one, who played Belle? Linda Hamilton. Who played the Beast? Ron Perlman. Those names might sound familiar to you. It's because they do. Linda Hamilton, she played Sarah Connor in Terminator and Terminator 2. That Linda Hamilton. And then Ron Perlman, you might know him from, he's done many movies. He did in the Name of the Rose, Alien Resurrection, Blade 2, but he's probably right now mostly known for his work in Sons of Anarchy. Yes, that Ron Perlman, he played the Beast. And I think he even got an award for his performance as the Beast. And not only that, but guess what? It's very different because the Beast never changes to a human. Unless I'm wrong, I have not seen all the episodes, but he never changes back into a human or changes into a human. He stays a beast all throughout the show, and Belle loves him anyway. And again, this is a modern world setting, so this one was the most creative with the story. That was the most creative one. So then, remember what I said? That was 1987. This show ran for around 3 to 4 years on CBS. When did the animated version from Disney come out? 1991. 4 years, 4 years after the 1987 TV show first began, and right around the time that it ended is that's pretty much when the 1991 animated version came out, and it heavily followed the fairy tale in the 1946 movie from black and white. I want to say the person directed the 1947 one was John Beaumont, but I could be wrong. Sorry, I could be totally wrong about that one. But yes, that 1991 version that you're all like, oh, that's the creative one. That's how, that 2017 was such a ripoff. Remember, the 1991, that one was heavily inspired by the original, then the film that came out, the first film that came out of that, and it was way less creative with the source material than the CBS series that came out 4 years before it came out. This is no attack on the 1991 version. It's my favorite. I love the animated version. Love it so much. But I can't say that the 2017 was an abomination for being a remake of a remake of a remake. I can't do that. That doesn't work. Doesn't work at all. Another criticism that this, 2017 one gets from people is that the remake also it's too soon. Oh my god, the last one just came out like so short time ago. The last one came out in 1991. Now, this one came out in 2017. Now, take that 17 years, then add that to the 1991, so it's like 9 years. So this one came out about 26 years since the animated version. I know it feels like it's been a shorter time. It's like, oh, it feels like so much shorter. It's because Beauty and the Beast never left the public eye, really. But it's been 26 years. And this is coming from someone who's mad at the Amazon studios for probably coming out, it seems like it's definitely happening, coming out with Lord of the Rings, because that came out in 2002. That is a way less significant list. It's only been 16 years. 16 years. Like that's too soon for me. That's too soon. And honestly, they should just be coming out with other Tolkien material, like, the Silmarillion. Do a TV show about that. Or the Unfinished Tales of Numenor, the Lost Tales. Do those Tolkien stories. Do that stuff from Tolkien. Why you gotta remake The Lord of the Rings? Sorry, that was a tangent there. But yeah, that's what's really like it's been 26 years. So now think of that 26-year stretch between the live action one we just got and the animated version. Compare that to the 4-year difference between the 1991 and the beginning of the 1987 live action TV series that went for 3 to 4 years. Or probably more than that, if I'm wrong, because I didn't see the whole series. Which means when the 1991 came out, the TV series was still fresh in everyone's mind because it still had just really happened or ended. And that was a whole different company. And remember, Ron Perlman probably got an award for that. So right after he does this incredible thing, and so did Linda Hamilton and other actors and actresses, Disney came out with a live animated version that overshadowed all that soon after they did it. That is, objectively speaking, that's a way ruder thing to do than Disney to remake its own property 26 years later. It really is. So think of the stretches. The 1757, the book comes out, or the story comes out in an anthology by a French writer. Then, like, what, a little over a little before, a little less than 200 years after that, the first version comes out in the 1946. Then, like what? How many years? 40s? Like 40 1 year later, then comes a TV series. Then, less than a year after that, then comes the 1991 version. Then, 26 years later, comes the 2017 version. Objectively speaking, the biggest offense of not waiting for a stretch of time to do this again was the 1991 animated version. I'm not attacking it, I'm just giving you the facts here. So I'm not going to attack the live action for not waiting too long when it waited way longer than the 1991 version waited to do a retelling of something that was in the public eye. There's that. So that's another thing. And another criticism I get about the live action version is that it's ruining our childhood. The 1991 was perfect and it should have just stayed there. It's awesome. You shouldn't touch it again. Guys, remember, that was our childhood. And I was a part of that generation. I was born in 1986. I'm turning 32 in February. That's when I'm turning 32 then. This was my childhood when that came out. But here's the thing, it's not about, for those who are my generation, it's not about us. I mean, if we want to go enjoy the movie, we can enjoy it and it can be about us, but it's not about us. It's about those children who were not around in 1991 to see it. It's about the children who were born 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, who were not there to see what we got to see on the big screen. Now they can. They can experience it. They can have that same feeling that we got seeing in 1991. They can get this now. They have the right to have it. They have the right to have that exact same experience that we got the chance to have. And not just to, like, re-release it in theaters, the animated version again. They've done that already. Just, of course, they're going to do a live action and remake it. Because children nowadays get the chance to experience something that, we experienced, but they get their own version of what we experienced. That's not ruining your childhood. The 1991 version is still there. It's going to stay there. Nothing's going to move it or take it from you. Just like nothing can take the Ghostbusters from you when they came out with a new Ghostbusters. Nothing can touch that unless you let it. And you're not letting it if you accept that this new version does not replace the old version. You don't have to attack the new version. Just still respect the old version. And understand that those kids who are like us, who are, seeing it nowadays in 2017, not last year, they're like us in 1991. They have the right to see it on the big screen. They have the right to have this experience. And I met children who saw it. Even I met teenagers who went to the movie theater and saw it. And they had that exact same expression that we had in 1991. How can you take that from them? Why should I take that from them? I'm not going to take that from them in a million years. Not at all. Another argument I get about this movie is it's terrible. It's badly done. No, it's not, guys. I understand you don't want your childhood to be touched. But no, there's a difference between a film you don't like because you don't want to like it and a bad film. Beauty and the Beast 2017 is not a bad film. Not at all. It's not. It's well directed, it's well shot, it's well lit. The lighting is amazing, the costuming is amazing. I see the effort and love that went into this movie. If there was no effort and love, then I would not be happy. But there clearly was. There was clearly love that went into this movie. I know we're in a world where we like to label things as either really good or it's terrible. Let there be a middle ground. Let it not be, okay, it's not your favorite film, but it's not bad. There should be A, B, C, D, E, and, well, not E, F films, but not just A or F. Let there be a B or C. That's all I'm saying. Now, another thing that I left out that often gets forgotten and overlooked is people are mad that the live action version is an exact replica of the 1991 version. That already I didn't care much for because of the simple fact that, again, the 1991 is a remake of something that it did not create. But even then, what often is forgotten is the 1991 version was made into a Broadway musical that was on Broadway for God knows how long. It was adapted to the stage. And once it got adapted to the stage and made into a Broadway musical, it had the right to be readapted to film the way all Broadway musicals have the right to be readapted to film. Like musicals like Into the Woods, Les Miserables, oh gosh, I'm sorry for forgetting other things. Jesus Christ Superstar. I'm trying to think, am I forgetting other things? I am totally Chicago. God, there's other things I'm missing too. I'm so bad. Oh yeah, Sweeney Todd, Phantom of the Opera, and I'm sure I'm missing other ones. I'm sorry for those other musicals that I'm forgetting about. So sorry. Oh yeah, the Wiz. Mhm. Yeah, so these iconic musicals that have been on the stage were directly adapted to film. The second that Beauty and the Beast became a Broadway musical, it had the right to be also adapted to film of the same style. It did. So I'm treating it the way I treat all those other Broadway musicals. I have the right to. It would be hypocrisy of me to not do that. So there's that. Another criticism I get is that the Beast is ugly. Now, while I admit I do wish they had just did prosthetics and makeup for the Beast the way that they did in the 1987 version, it's a beast. He's not supposed to be pretty. It's a beast. A beast. He's supposed to be kind of gruesome. He's supposed to be. Sorry, but that argument doesn't really fly with me that well. So there's that one. Now another criticism that I get from it is the singers in the movie are absolutely terrible. Okay, guys, I admit. Okay, first of all, there are some singers like the background singers, like the supporting characters. Those singers were very good. No, they were very good. Okay, they really were. Um, but I admit, when it comes to the leads, they're not as good as the 1991 animated version. But here's the thing: I don't care what you all say; they weren't terrible. They weren't. They were not bad. I've heard bad singers. I've done some bad singing, guys. I've done some bad singing. I know bad singing when I hear it. These, sorry for the glare. This is not bad singing. It's not. It's not terrible. And to be also another thing, and this is me just pointing out the double standards that I've gotten when I've got criticism towards this movie. This is Hollywood. I'm trying to remember what Hollywood movie have I ever seen that was a musical where all the singers were singers. I, I, I haven't seen it. I could be overlooking some. I admit that I could be overlooking some, but I've never seen one Broadway musical myself that was adapted to screen, or one musical that were always played by singers. Um, yeah. Again, I did not see Into the Woods. I did not see Into the Woods, so I could be wrong in that perspective. And The Wiz, what I know, it gets. It, some people hate the movie, some people love the movie, but I admit those were all singers mostly. They really were all singers, so that's different. But again, people also hate that movie, so never mind. But yeah, when it comes to those sort of musicals, well, like Sweeney Todd, Mamma Mia, Chicago, Jesus Christ Superstar from the one that I love. I think it's from like the 70s or 80s. I don't know, but I love it. But even I admit they're not all singers, or they were singers who blew out their voices. Like they had no voice by the time they got to do the movie. I'm trying. There's some others I'm clearly forgetting, and I feel sorry about that. Oh yeah, La La Land. Now that may not have been a Broadway musical, but it still was a musical. And oh my gosh, Les Miserables. They're not all singers. Some of them were really good singers, but there were some who were just not singers. Not. And they sounded way worse than the what I heard on this. Like literally, there were the worst singers in this movie. Some of the singing, like in Mamma Mia, I'm not going to say which actresses or actors because I like those actresses and actors. Or La Land, I like those actresses and actors. But there were some in those sort of movies, and same with Les Miserables and Sweeney Todd. Again, I like those actors and actresses, but they made the worst singers in this sound like freaking opera singers. And I didn't really hear any much criticism on those. There were some people who got awards in those movies who didn't sound as good as these people in here. Like, no offense, to those actresses and actors, but they sounded terrible compared to the worst people in here. I mean, they yeah, they were terrible compared to the people in here. Terrible. And if you're not going to complain, and I know many people complained about Russell Crowe's singing in Les Miserables, but they pointed that out. But there's another singer in Les Miserables who she got nominated for People's Choice Award. I'm not talking about Anne Hathaway. No, People's Choice Award. She got a nomination, and I'm like, you were terrible. Like, I can't sing. You sound almost as bad as me. How did you get a nomination for People's Choice Award? How did you do that? And no one criticized her singing voice there. So you want me to care about your criticism towards these people who sounded way better than other people you've never criticized? At worst, these people sounded fine. Like, they sounded fine, but they never hit terrible or horrible territory to me. And yes, compared to Paige O'Hara, they didn't sound as great, but they never sounded terrible. I think it's because we're all so familiar with the Paige O'Hara animated Beauty and the Beast that we came down on these singers, but they didn't sound nearly as bad as many other people we have never came down on. And I know your argument might be, well, two wrongs don't make a right. Just because we didn't come down on those people doesn't mean we shouldn't come down on these people. But my reply back is, I'm only saying if you did not come down on those people, don't get mad at me for not coming down on these people who sounded way better than those people who you did not complain about. That's all I'm saying. Also, when it comes to that, this idea of not the best singers or dancers, and when I mentioned Chicago, I think all the singers were the singers. I could be wrong. They're probably people who were sung over. Um, but I'm talking about the dancing. The dancing in Chicago was a lot of cut and editing to make the dancers look like it was one long dance movement. Really, it was a lot of cutting, doing a couple moves, and then cut again, then do one more move, then cut again. And the director just pieced it all together. But a lot of the people in those movies did not have all the full dance experience that you thought they probably did have. That's what I meant by Chicago. And again, there could be some people who were sung over. I could be wrong about that. I could be. Like they had someone, dub them. That could have been so, but I just don't know about because I didn't really research Chicago that well. I know about the dancing, but I don't know much about the singing. But this idea of not the best singers, that actually has been around for so freaking long, been hired in Hollywood since Black and White. For example, this is not Black and White, but it was still a classic, The King and I. Unless all the reports I saw about that or read about that were wrong, the actress who played Anna in The King and I, there was another person who did her vocals. She acted the role of Anna, but another singer, she sung the lyrics. Yeah, that performance which you love so much probably was sung over by someone else. And then an iconic singer, dancer, and actress that everyone loves, people often forget. Someone sung her vocals or the hard vocals, and that was Audrey Hepburn. Iconic singer, dancer, actress Audrey Hepburn had someone sing over her her lyrics in My Fair Lady. She sang the less complicated songs, like I think Wouldn't It Be Lovely? I think she sang that one. But when it came to the really beautiful, like really incredible songs, I think like Show Me, I Could Have Danced All Night, unless all research was complete and accurate about that one, which is not, that was sung over, I believe, by Julie Andrews. Yup, Mary Poppins, before Mary Poppins became famous, she sang Audrey Hepburn's vocals that were the complicated songs. So that performance that you all love so much, that was the best songs, with the best singing, that was Julie Andrews singing and Audrey just lip singing. Yeah, that's what happened there. And there's one iconic couple where there was a lot of dubbing or not the best singers. I actually have the DVD. Sorry, I'll go get it. Sorry, I'm back. I have the entire collection of Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. I'm going to bring out some of the DVDs to show you history, because you probably have seen it, like a Flying Down to Rio, The Gay Divorcee, Roberta, and then you've got things like Shall We Dance, Swing Time, Follow the Fleet, Top Hat, and like also the Barclays on Broadway. These guys, Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers, made so many movies together. They were like iconic dance and singing couple and acting couple. They just made a crap ton of movies. And guess what? That criticism that you're all giving to the people, some people are giving to the Beauty and the Beast live action, to some of the singers and that, those two, these again, who made this entire film collection of musicals, they received similar criticism. Fred Astaire was known, and so was Ginger Rogers. They were known for not being the best singers of their time by a long shot. In their first movie together, Flying Down to Rio, Ginger, you can tell Ginger was not the best singer at all. She had an okay voice, but it wasn't that great compared to all the other singers, and by any means, like literally, she was no Judy Garland. She was no many other singers at that time. They all could sing a lot better than she could. Ginger got better over time, she really did. But a lot of times it's Fred Astaire mostly singing and not her. And even he did not was not regarded as having the best singing voice. He was known for his dancing, which he was a master of. Here comes the ultimate dubbing, and this is not a lie. I watched the special features to this collection. Ginger Rogers, at the time, was even known for not being Fred Astaire's best dance partner. He had quite a few dance partners. Ginger was not considered the best one, even in that time period. She is nowadays. But at the time, no, she wasn't, for obvious reasons. She wasn't. To the point where her taps were sometimes dubbed. Yup, Fred Astaire had another dance partner all while he was doing the Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire movies, was another male who looked like him. So they was known for, I can't remember the guy's name, but he was a great dancer too. Fred Astaire and this guy, they would do dance rehearsals together where the guy would do all of Ginger Rogers' movements and Fred Astaire would do his movements. And they would even do the ballroom dancing together. So you had Fred Astaire and a man who looked like him, both equally good dancers, dancing together, and the other guy was doing Ginger Rogers' parts. It was known in the studio that Fred Astaire would sometimes go into the studio and he would tape over Ginger's taps with the other guy's taps, who he was his other dance partner, because his taps were a lot clearer and more distinct, or Ginger's were not really that you couldn't hear her taps very well, if at all, sometimes. And again, Ginger was a great dancer. But yeah, those people who are mad at the live action version for being possibly auto-tuned with some singers, guess what? Ginger Rogers, who was a great dancer, sometimes her taps were what would be called dance auto-tuned. This has been happening for so long in the Hollywood world. My point is, I and like many people, millions of people love Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. And there are many people in Hollywood over the years who were singers, dancers, and actors. They could do it all. But there were many people who were good at some and not so good at the others, or they were okay at them, but they needed someone who was better to step in. So, and I forgive Ginger Rogers if sometimes her taps needed to be dubbed, or she wasn't the best singer at the time. I forgive Fred for Astaire for not being the best singer either. I still like his voice. I like Ginger Rogers. I forgave Anna in The King and I. She was a great actress. I forgive Audrey for not being as good a singer as Julie Andrews, who actually did the role first. That's another thing. People who get mad about Paige O'Hara saying, "Oh, Emma's not as good as Paige O'Hara," got news for you. Julie Andrews was the original Eliza Doolittle in the Broadway musical of My Fair Lady, but because her name wasn't big enough, they went with Audrey Hepburn, even though Julie Andrews was known for being incredible as Eliza Doolittle, and then even sang Eliza's vocals for Audrey. So those people were criticized, if you criticize Emma Watson in this, guess what? Audrey Hepburn did something way worse. Yeah, she not only was she was good, she was great in the role, but Julie Andrews was known for being better in the role, and then Julie Andrews even sang her vocals. This is no insult to Audrey Hepburn. I love Audrey Hepburn. I'm just saying, if you're not going to be mad about this, don't expect me to be mad about this. That is it. And also for the another last criticism I get is about because she's not they're not as good as the singers, and that one, or they didn't act, the acting was terrible in this movie. No, it wasn't. It just wasn't the exact same performance as Paige O'Hara gave in her vocals for the role. And I've heard that there was some recorded Paige O'Hara performing Belle, and that's great and all that. But here's the thing. I don't want to, when I'm watching Emma Watson, I don't want her to give me a cut and paste performance of Paige O'Hara, the way I did not want Paige O'Hara to give me a cut and paste version of, or the animators who animated Paige O'Hara's Belle, I mean, to give me a cut and paste performance of Linda Hamilton's performance as Belle. Like, I didn't want Linda Hamilton to give a cut and paste performance of the one from 1946. These are all different actresses and actors who are doing these roles. They have the right to do different nuances, different takes on the character. They should not be giving the exact same performance as the one before them. There has to be some variety, or it's just a cut and paste performance. We shouldn't be asking actresses and actors to do that. So guys, that is my video of why I don't hate the live action 2017 version. Don't get me wrong, I know the 1991 is superior, but this is still very good. I love the way it was shot, directed, I love the acting in it, and the singing did not annoy me. It was never terrible. It never was. It may not be as good as the singing in the animated version, but it was never hit awful territory in my book. And for all the reasons that I've stated before, because one, the one you're mad about, the 1991 version that you all love, was a remake. So I'm not mad about this being a remake of a remake. Number two, children who were not there to see the one that we saw, guys, they had a right to see this. They really did. They had a right to have all the experiences that we had. They did. Let's just let them have that moment without applying all this negativity. Should we be applying that negativity? Just let the kids have their moment. And those of us who wanted to relive it, let us have the right to relive it. Let us. hmm So there's that. And again, it was not a terrible film. And it just wasn't. And the things you're mad about have been happening in Hollywood for so long now. And you didn't criticize it then. So I'm not going to criticize it now. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. And again, if you disagree with me, it's okay. I am fine. I am perfectly fine. If you guys disagree with me, just please respect the fact that I just simply have a different opinion than you. And that's all it is, guys. We all have the right to speak our opinions as long as we're not offending anyone or attacking anyone. We have the right to feel as we feel and like what we like and don't like what we don't like. You're right to not like Beauty and the Beast, but so am I right to like this Beauty and the Beast. We all are right. It's all subjective opinions. So guys, tell me something. Have you seen the 2017, adaptation live action Beauty and the Beast? Have you not seen it? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Either way, you're awesome. You really are. And if you like what you see here, you can scroll down, you can subscribe, and enjoy the ways and workings of the Philadelphia Whovian. Thank you guys so much for listening. Enjoy yourselves.